On November 17, 2025, the Supreme Court delivered a seismic blow to President Trump's economic agenda, issuing a decision that would reverberate across the nation and around the world. In a landmark ruling, the justices declared that the president could not impose sweeping tariffs on foreign goods without Congress's explicit consent, dismantling a core pillar of Trump's America First policy and reshaping the balance of power between the executive and legislative branches. The decision sent shockwaves through Washington and global markets, instantly upending years of trade policy and leaving investors, politicians, and business leaders scrambling to assess the new reality. President Trump's response was immediate and furious. He denounced the ruling as an economic disaster, calling it a direct attack on American sovereignty, and vowed to fight back with every tool at his disposal. He insisted the tariffs were essential to protect American jobs and industries, accusing even his own Supreme Court appointees of betrayal and warning of dire consequences for American workers. The ruling didn't just halt future tariffs, it immediately invalidated those already in place, creating chaos for businesses, government agencies, and entire industries that had relied on the protectionist measures. Phones rang off the hook in law firms and corporate offices as companies scrambled to understand the implications, seeking urgent legal advice and trying to adapt to the sudden change. Billions in collected tariffs were suddenly in question, with companies demanding refunds and lawmakers launching heated debates over the next steps. The economic fallout promised a period of confusion, uncertainty, and intense political conflict. The Supreme Court's decision was more than a legal opinion. It was a bombshell at the heart of the American economy, setting the stage for a fierce battle over the future of U.S. trade policy and presidential power. Trump's tariffs were essentially taxes on imported goods, impacting a wide range of products, from electronics and appliances to clothing and everyday essentials. These tariffs were designed to make foreign goods more expensive, with the hope of encouraging Americans to buy products made in the USA. American importers were the ones who paid these fees up front, but the costs didn't stop there. The extra expenses rippled through the entire economy, forcing businesses to raise prices for everyone, from small shops to big-box retailers. To make this happen, Trump invoked the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. This allowed him to bypass Congress entirely, declaring trade deficits a national emergency and giving himself the authority to act quickly. With this power, Trump set tariffs unilaterally, targeting not just China, but also some of America's closest allies. The move sent shockwaves through global trade relationships and sparked intense negotiations. China quickly retaliated, hitting back with their own tariffs on American goods. This especially hurt U.S. farmers and manufacturers, who suddenly found it harder to sell their products abroad. The ever-changing rules and uncertainty made it nearly impossible for businesses to plan for the future. Many companies hesitated to invest or expand, worried about what might come next. Ultimately, most companies passed these new costs on to consumers, driving up prices on everything from groceries to household goods. Everyday Americans felt the pinch at the checkout line. While Trump insisted that foreign countries were footing the bill for these tariffs, the reality was quite different. In practice, it was American families who bore the burden, paying more for the things they needed. This disconnect between the policy's intent and its real-world impact fueled a fierce legal battle, as critics challenged the administration's authority and the fairness of the tariffs. The tariffs quickly became a symbol of economic nationalism, but also a flashpoint for deep political and social division across the country. As the controversy grew, the stage was set for a dramatic constitutional showdown that would test the limits of presidential power. The Supreme Court's decision wasn't about the merits of tariffs, but about who has the power to impose them. The Constitution gives Congress, not the president, the authority to set taxes and regulate trade. The court found Trump's use of IEEPA for broad tariffs was an overreach, lacking clear limits or congressional approval. The justices argued that declaring a vague emergency can't justify creating a massive new tax system. Economists and business groups argued trade deficits aren't inherently bad, and the president's approach was economically flawed. The ruling reasserted Congress's role in trade, ending decades of growing executive power in this area. Justice Barrett noted the aftermath would be messy. but necessary to uphold the separation of powers. If America is to wage a trade war, the court declared, it must be Congress's decision, not the president's alone. Tariffs hit American businesses hard, raising costs for manufacturers, tech firms, and small companies alike. Many faced a painful choice: absorb higher costs or pass them to customers, risking lost sales. Exporters suffered too, as countries retaliated with tariffs on U.S. goods, devastating farmers and manufacturers. Billions in lost exports and thousands of jobs were at risk, turning a policy meant to help workers into a source of hardship. For families, tariffs meant higher prices on everyday items, electronics, shoes, even groceries. The Consumer Technology Association called tariffs a hidden tax, hitting lower and middle-income families hardest. The constant policy shifts created uncertainty, making it impossible for businesses to plan or invest. The Chamber of Commerce warned of irreparable harm as companies struggled to navigate the chaos. Instead of protecting American jobs, the tariffs left businesses and families stretched thin. The economic damage was deep and widespread. The Supreme Court's landmark ruling forced the government to begin the difficult process of unwinding years of tariffs that had been imposed on a wide range of imported goods. This meant issuing massive refunds to businesses across the country. Treasury officials estimate that tens of billions, possibly even up to $1 trillion with accumulated interest, may be owed to companies that paid these tariffs over the years. The process is a bureaucratic nightmare. Tariffs not only varied by product, but also changed frequently, and the records are incredibly complex. Companies must now audit years of import transactions, while government agencies face a mountain of refund claims, each requiring careful review and verification. A single shipment could involve dozens of different products, each with its own rate, exemption, and paperwork. The refunds will go to importers, ranging from global tech giants to small local retailers, but there's no guarantee that consumers will see any direct relief at the checkout counter. The tech sector, which relies heavily on imported components, could see a significant windfall, but families who paid higher prices for everyday goods may not benefit at all. Justice Barrett's warning about a messy process now seems like an understatement, as the scale of the challenge becomes clear. The government now faces a massive financial hole, with budget deficits likely to widen as refunds are paid out. And with billions at stake, the logistical puzzle is daunting. The question remains, will the relief truly reach those who need it most, or will it get lost in the chaos? The Supreme Court's decision sent Wall Street into turmoil. Stocks surged for some companies, plunged for others. Retailers and tech firms soared on the prospect of refunds, while steelmakers lost ground. In Washington, the ruling ignited fierce debate, with Trump denouncing the court and Congress calling for hearings. Treasury and Customs scrambled to halt tariff collections and design a refund system, with no plan in place. Confusion reigned as officials rushed to issue guidance, and importers demanded answers. The decision weakened Trump politically, emboldening opponents and sparking a national debate on presidential power. The fallout exposed deep divisions within both parties over how to protect American interests while respecting the law. The nation faced a reckoning over the balance of power in a globalized world. The immediate future is turbulent. Businesses and government face years of complex refunds and uncertainty. Consumers may eventually see lower prices, but relief will be slow to arrive. The ruling resets U.S. trade policy, no more unilateral tariffs by the president. Congress must now be involved. This shift promises more debate and slower decisions, but also more stability and predictability. The decision reaffirms the separation of powers, signaling to the world that U.S. trade policy will follow the rule of law. Allies may find renewed trust, and global markets a measure of stability. The chaos of the tariff era exposed the risks of go-it-alone economic policy. Now, America's leaders must forge a new consensus, balancing protection, prosperity, and democracy. The court has spoken. The hard work of building a stable economic future begins now.